Here we are in studio with royalty, Bellator royalty, the reigning defending Bellator lightweight champion Michael Chandler in the house. How about this? Wow.
This is great.
This is something. You've been on the show many times before, but never in studio. What's it like?
Is this
the
really
culmination of your career?
It's actually really cool. I guarantee that there's a lot of MMA fighters who have not seen this setup.
Yeah.
I mean, when we walked through here, it was cool.
You were kind of like, wow, I finally made it. After all these years.
This was that breakout moment right here. Forget the belts. Yeah,
Dave and Buster's.
This is a breakout moment.
What are you doing here in New York?
I'm here with Luke Rockhold and Robbie Lawler. We are shooting Adidas Combat Sports at Church Street Boxing. Just got done. Still a little bit sweaty.
Okay. You were working out?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing all kinds of shots, hitting bags, and they have a lot of cool new gear coming out, a lot of new shirts and shorts and rash guards and spandex pants. And obviously Adidas is one of those brands that's been around. It's one of the most iconic brands in the world, but now they've been for the last year or two moving in that combat to sports direction. And lots of cool gear, lots of cool apparel. So it's cool. It's cool to be a part of it, and we're just shooting a big old photo shoot.
So you're sponsored by them now?
Yes.
Is this new?
No, I've been with them for about a year.
Okay.
So it's me and Luke, Robbie, Chris Algieri, a boxer.
That's right.
Clark Gracie, who's a BJJ guy, and a couple other guys. So
now, do you get the? I mean, you don't have to concern yourself with this, but the whole Reebok thing affects the UFC fighters. Adidas and Reebok are part of the same family.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I didn't.
Owned by the same parent company.
Okay.
But do they have anything, as far as you're concerned, to do with each other?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I mean, it's different, I mean, all of these different licensing deals and all that kind of stuff, it's different. I mean, it's great gear. I use all the shin guards and the
use it in training?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, obviously it's a sponsorship thing, but I actually do prefer it. I mean, it's good gear. So, I didn't know that about the parent company, but it's cool to, obviously in Bellator, you can have whatever sponsors you want as long as they're not vulgar, the old school stuff that guys used to wear.
Yes.
And it's cool to see even two UFC guys who, obviously, there's a lot of restrictions put on them when it comes to fight week and it comes to their fight shorts and all that kind of stuff. But, with our management, we've been able to get a great partnership with them, and it's a great company. Obviously, it's one of the most iconic brands in the world, so it's a cool deal.
Nothing against Reebok, but it is good to see some brands, especially blue chip ones like Adidas, still sticking around and sponsoring those guys, sponsoring all fighters. I like that very much. So you just came back from the OC. Yep. You were there. You were front and center. You were all over the place. Now, let me ask you this. The weigh-in's happening as a fighter, right? As a fighter, how do you feel about being there front and center holding the belt? Did you kind of, if I'm being honest, I felt like that wasn't the place for it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day.
Benson and Pitbull facing off.
Absolutely.
I get what they're doing, but don't you want to respect what's about to happen too?
Absolutely. And that was one of the things. They wanted to bring me out for the weigh-ins, and I was cool with it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we do fight every single fight to get towards that belt. So I have the belt, and these guys had to win that fight to fight for it. So I was told to be out there.
Did you feel weird about it?
I mean, I think if I was in their shoes, Pitbull's talking all this trash about killing me and taking off my head, and then Benson's talking about getting the title shot and this and that. But I didn't expect them to really, I guess, acknowledge me there. I mean, they can't focus on me. They can't focus on the belt because they both of them had a tough fight in front of them, as we saw. And it was an interesting situation, but at the end of the day, I wasn't too far away, and so I made it close and held up the belt and showed them what they have a shot at possibly.
Considering what happened between, and I love that Michael took this.
I keep that close to me, just in case
you found it. I didn't even realize that it was here, and you found it.
I thought you were messing with me.
No, I swear.
Got this Ben Henderson doll right here, so I'm feeling it. I'm getting pumped up. I'm ready. He's staring at me. So
considering you're not fighting Pitbull, you're fighting Benson.
Yes, sir.
Considering what happened between you two back in June, were there any words exchanged? Anything happened there?
No, and I think under different circumstances, I think he would have been able to put his disgust on display.
Okay.
But like I said, he had to focus on that Benson Henderson fight. That's a very tough guy against a former UFC champion, and the only way that he will get to fight me is if he would have won that fight. And I think we can end up setting up a fight down the road because he obviously hates my guts. So
why does he hate your guts so much? What's not to like?
Allegedly, allegedly, I talked about his family. I think he took it personally. I think obviously, knocking out his brother pretty bad, and I told him I would kill him. I mean, I really do think if I stepped in the cage with him, I would tear him limb from limb, and that's just the confidence that I have. And he's a puffed up 135 pounder. He's not even a 145 pounder.
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion, he's 5'2.5", and it's, you know, I don't know, but I don't know. I think that fight will probably eventually happen, but I think he thought I talked about his family, and I think in his mind that meant like wife and kids and grandma and grandparents and that kind of stuff. But obviously, just the Pitbull brothers.
Considering you say that he's a puffed up 135, or he was fighting a guy who in his last fight was fighting for the 170 pound title, do you think he bit off more than he could chew? And do you believe that may have led to the injury? It was pretty gruesome. No,
you know, I think the human body is, I mean, when it comes to the way that our bodies are made, I don't think there's much of a difference between the bone density of a 135 or 145 or 170 pounder. So I don't think the leg break actually had much to do with the size difference necessarily.
Okay.
You know, I think it was a badly timed kick and a well blocked kick. But I think he definitely bit off more than he could chew in that fight, even though, I mean, if that fight keeps going the way it was going, I mean, I don't think Benson was winning the fight.
Yeah, because I thought he lost the first.
Yeah, I mean, he was very inactive. You know, I think.
What do you make of that? Do you think he was gun shy after what happened in the last fight?
Possibly.
Didn't seem like himself, right?
True, but I will say, I mean, the only way that I think Benson loses that fight is possibly getting clipped with a really bad right hand, you know, a big right hand, because Pitbull has power. So I think implementing that game plan of pushing Pitbull, like chasing Pitbull around the cage and putting Pitbull up, cocked and ready on that back foot, ready to throw that right hand, he was putting himself in harm's way. But I think it was cool to see Benson actually be the aggressor. I think he took the back seat against Koreshkov, and Koreshkov crushed him. You know, and Koreshkov's a 6'2", 170 pound legitimate welterweight. And you know, we're going to see with Rory MacDonald coming over. I don't know if they fight next or what happens, but we're going to see how good Koreshkov is. I think, you know, I not to sit over here and toot the Bellator horn, but that guy in particular, I think he's a tough fighter. I think the fighter that we saw Ben Askren dismantle and make him look like, you know, a little child, is not the same Koreshkov, especially against a guy who will stand and trade with him. So he's a very, very tough guy, and we'll see.
Okay, so you were there front row when they introduced Rory.
Yes, sir.
And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, because you're kind of one of these OG Bellator guys now. It's crazy that the organization has been around so long that there can be such a thing.
Yeah, right.
To see a Rory MacDonald come out with the Canadian flags, the red carpet and all this is, you know, and this is a year where Benson comes over, Matt Mitrione comes over, now Rory, which you can make the case is the biggest one yet.
For sure.
What are you thinking?
I think it's great. You know, I don't know the details, obviously. I didn't even know he was going to get it announced that night. But, you know, I think, like he said there on the broadcast, he was made an offer that he could not refuse and that nobody could match. And that's kind of the trend. You know, you're seeing that now.
Yeah.
You know, there's pros and cons of both organizations, I'm sure. I can't attest to the UFC, fighting in the UFC. But you know, he seems like he made the right decision for himself, and we'll see what happens. You know, the good thing for me is I think that's a fight that I could have in my future. I would definitely step up to 170 and let that fight happen. I want the biggest fights that Bellator has to offer, and I think Benson Henderson next. I still have unfinished business with Josh Thompson.
Yeah,
and you know, I'm sitting at 190 right now, so wouldn't be too tiny of a welterweight. You know, whether it be for the belt or not for the belt. I mean, I want big fights. I want exciting fights, and I want fights that fans are going to put their eyeballs on. So.
Before I ask you about Josh, as you know, free agency has become a big thing this year. Rory, the latest example, but you decided not to test free agency.
Yeah.
Why?
Very similar to Rory. I think when you're made offers that are tough to refuse, it's, man, with me, I'm in a unique situation because I'm not just a Bellator guy. I am a guy who has one of the biggest trilogies in the sport staring me, you know, just breathing down my neck. That fight with Eddie Alvarez is going to happen. I don't know if it happens in Bellator. I don't know if it happens in the UFC. I don't know if it happens in World Series of Fighting or if it happens in his backyard in Philly. It's going to happen. That trilogy is going to happen, and that's something that people want to see. So I'm in that unique situation, and then you have, you know, you got that Conor McGregor fight, and you got those big fights. But for me, man, I've been with the company now for a long time, 6 years, and they've taken care of me. I've taken care of them. I've helped build the company. Here I am, champion again. I'm about to, I think, dismantle one of the biggest names that we have in Vincent Henderson and get another big fight against Josh. And the fights are getting bigger, and you can see that happening. And at the end of the day, I'm still just 30 years old. I just now have hit my prime. Threw my first punch in my entire life at 22 years old.
Wow.
You know, so I've been in the sport for 8 years.
Yeah.
So I think the road that I have taken, I haven't taken any damage up until I started fighting, which was at 22. You know, so I've only been taking damage at the last 6-8 years, and you know, I have a lot of time left in this sport. So this last contract I signed wasn't for the rest of my career by any means.
How many fights left?
A few.
A few. Why don't you want to say?
I don't know.
Well, why
I know. We had this conversation.
Why in baseball, basketball?
Well,
let's just say
I just signed a deal.
I'm not asking you for the amount. No. I'm just saying the number of fights, not the number, not the dollar amount.
Wait, what?
I'm not asking.
Yo, you're asking me for the number of fights.
Yeah, I'm not asking you for the dollars.
It's more than 3 and less than 8.
Okay.
There you go. That's good.
Okay, so I was in Atlanta for UFC 201, and Eddie Alvarez was doing a Q&A.
Okay.
And someone asked him about you. I don't remember what the question was, but I saw that you tweeted a little bit after, and you kind of took it as a compliment.
Absolutely.
I took it as an insult, what he was saying.
What did he say?
He was saying,
give the fans what he said.
I wish I had the damn clip.
Oh, no, I got it. He said that
you didn't want to test yourself.
Yeah, too bad he didn't want to sign with the UFC, and we could have made some magic or something. And I agree with him, but at the end of the day, Eddie, freaking protect your chin. Don't hold on to that belt.
Okay.
You know, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm 30 years old. He's been fighting since he was 18 years old. I'm still green in the sport.
Right.
And I'm just now hitting my stride. I'm just now hitting my full potential. And I feel like I have another 4, 5, 6 years left in the sport, a full potential, full bore ahead with power and speed and accuracy, and I'm getting better. So I at the end of the day, man, I got a long time left in the sport to make magic. And like I said, whether it happens in this organization, that organization, or in his backyard in Philly, that fight is going to happen. So I just hope he can hang on long enough to let it happen. So
I feel like in a weird way, you're the biggest Eddie Alvarez fan, because the better he does, the better it makes you look.
True, but I mean, at the end of the day, if I can take my own pride out of it, and I can just put on my fan hat, man, he's the kind of guy you need in this sport. You know, just the other day I was on Luke's show, and we were talking about, I think that he beats Conor McGregor 9 times out of 10. You cannot ever count Conor out, but Eddie's got, I think, the full package. I think he's a very, very tough fighter, and you know, it definitely selfishly does well for my career if he does well. But at the end of the day, when you have shared the cage with somebody for almost 50 minutes and beat the tar out of each other for you and the fans' enjoyment, and you know why he fights to put food on the table for his wife and his kids, and he moved back to Philly to be with his wife and kids, to make the sacrifices to take care of the people that are most important to him. And that's the kind of guy, you know, it speaks volumes about a person, you know. So I am a fan of him. I'm a fan of his fight style. I want to fight him again. He wants to fight me. I just saw him, you know, a couple months ago at Black Zillions. It's a, hey, what's up? How you doing? Wish you the best. Stay healthy. God bless you.
Were you in the same gym training?
He came down for like I don't know, some kind of bachelor party or something.
Okay.
You know, and he was just in town for 2 days and worked out with somebody. He was there, and I was hitting mitts or something, and all of a sudden
oh wow!
I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and it was, you know, it was kind of like one of those, "What's up, bro?" You know, like like I'm supposed to freaking hate you, but you know, it's not a big deal, whatever. And if I ever have to fight you again, we know what's going to happen. He knows what's going to happen, you know, and that's that's just the confidence I have in that situation.
So I believe every word you said. For some reason, I feel like you don't feel the same way about Will Brooks.
Ooh.
Why? What's the difference?
The difference?
You shared the cage with him?
Man, I could name about 500 different things, but Eddie is a stand-up guy, and
Will's not.
I don't know. I cannot confirm nor deny. I just know that I've, you know, and I'm not in a position to say anything good or bad about him. Okay. You know, I think, you know, I've lost to the guy. I can sit here and humble myself and say I have losses on my record to that man. So anything I say can be taken out of context, or it can be taken as saltiness, or it can be taken as, you know. Of course, I'm upset at him because I lost to him. So it's one of those things that you don't really get into. But I think, you know, I mean, he has a reputation. I have mine, and you have yours, and Benson has his.
Well, how do you feel about this man?
Man, you can't say a bad thing about him. So it's tough. It's tough to sell a fight against a guy who, you know, I think he's a good man. I think he's a good person. I think he's probably a great father and a great husband. When it comes to stepping into the cage, I think he can't hang with me. You know, I think he's a former UFC champion, did great, has wins over one of the biggest names in MMA right now, Nate Diaz. You know, so does Josh Thompson. So I mean, I have some cool fights ahead of me. I'm excited for November 19th in San Jose on Spike TV, stepping in the cage against a guy that I've wanted to fight for a long time. You know, back in 2011, 12, 13, when I was the champion, he was a champion in the UFC. So they were always talking, okay, Benson's number 1, Chandler was number 3 or 5, and who's the best champion? Now we finally get to see it. I think it's the perfect time for me. I think it's the wrong time for him. And it's going to be sweet to step in the cage with him.
Now, what happened with Josh? Because it seemed like that was the fight that you wanted first.
It is, but I think this is the fight that has presented itself.
Is he not available?
I don't think so. I told the guys, I told Bellator I want to fight Josh. We have some unfinished business. I moved all the way across the country away from my wife for 9 weeks, and just to get a phone call on a Friday night from Dave Martin, my manager, and it was one of the biggest letdowns of my life. And then I had to go back into training camp for 8 more weeks and spend a whole nother 2 months away from my wife. So I have some unfinished business, and he's a big name with some big wins over Nate Diaz and Strikeforce champion and all that kind of stuff. So I have some big fights ahead of me, and Josh will have his time. When he came over to this organization, he talked about fighting me, and he said my name, and he said I want to fight Michael Chandler. So I hope he still feels that way, and even if he doesn't feel that way, he can have half my person to step into the cage. I don't care. I want that fight. Wow. So that's a big fight that I want. I want the Benson fight, and like I said, I'll pack on some pounds and go up and fight Rory too. So let's do it.
Without naming names, do you get a lot of people reach out? Because since you're one of the faces of Bellator, do you get a lot of people in other organizations reach out to you and say, "What's it like over there? What's it like fighting for Coker? What's it like?" Do you get a lot of people?
I have one in mind that is just
always hitting you up.
No, but I spoke to him, and he has. I think probably recently re-signed with his organization.
What the hell?
And he's getting underpaid probably, but whatever. I think
he was asking you for advice.
Yeah, it happens. because at the end of the day, I think.
Can I take a guess who it is, or you won't?
No, don't take a guess, because I probably can't do it. Yeah. But I think I appreciate you not taking a guess. But I think it's one of those things where I feel like I'm kind of an approachable guy. I'm not the kind. I have an ego. I am confident in who I am. But at the end of the day, I love Bellator. I love what the UFC has done since 1993. I wouldn't be sitting here and being able to do what I do without the hard work that the UFC people have put in for the last 20-something years. But at the end of the day, we're the ones taking the punches. So at the end of the day, when it comes to Scott Coker and Dana White and that kind of stuff, do I take their side, or do I take the guy who is getting his face beat in for everyone's entertainment and has to scratch pennies? It's cool to see the direction that mixed martial arts is going, and we're making more money as fighters, and I want to see guys make more money, and selfishly I want to see more guys come on over. I have confidence. When I signed this last deal, it wasn't just I'm so happy to be here, and maybe you can sign a top 20 guy. I said I want the biggest names in the sport. If I'm staying here and I'm signing for this new contract for however many fights or however many years it is, I want you guys to continue to sign big guys. And then they signed Benson, and now they signed Rory, who's not in my weight class, but he's still a possibility. I'm excited about it. So,
do you feel though that there's still a long way to go before you're paid what you're worth?
Man, what are we worth? I think it's tough because this sport is still in its infancy. It's not boxing. These boxing guys are making a ton of money.
Yeah.
But now you see, Conor and Nate's last base purse before pay-per-view and stuff. It's unprecedented numbers. So when that glass ceiling keeps getting broke more and more and more times, and that number keeps getting higher and higher, it should increase that pay. But at the end of the day, I am also the kind of guy who I believe that I've worked extremely hard since I was 14 years old and made all the right decisions to be where I am right now. And there's other guys who are complaining about their pay who would probably be teaching jiu-jitsu at a school making, whatever, or a car mechanic or this. And there's certain guys that should not be complaining because they are given an opportunity to be put on a platform to be able to do this kind of stuff and make a great living and provide for their family. So mixed martial arts is a mixed bag of different people and different different personalities and whatnot. And some of us have worked to get to where we are. We've all worked extremely hard to where we are, but at the end of the day, in 20 years, 30 years, how am I going to feel? How sharp am I going to be? What damage have I taken? What, knees and elbows and shoulders and back and all that kind of stuff. How is all that going to feel? So at the end of the day, I know I have confidence that when I lay my head at night, I'm doing what God called me to do. And I wake up and I train hard and hope for the best. So.
30 years ago, a great collegiate wrestler didn't have this avenue.
Absolutely.
Right? If MMA wasn't around, if there was no UFC and it didn't propel these other organizations to come about, what do you think you'd be doing after your college career?
I think I'm in a way different spot when it comes to just self-education and just where I'm at mentally than I probably would have been if I would have went right into the workforce. Or, when I graduated, I spent a year coaching at the University of Missouri. One of the most gratifying things in my life. These 18-year-old kids come in, they got their whole life ahead of them. I'm this 22-year-old guy just graduated from college and just wanted one more shot to throw on that black and gold singlet for Coach Smith. Even to this day, if I had an opportunity, sometimes I feel if I had an opportunity to walk away from this and be able to go wrestle one more year at Mizzou, it would be worth it, because
wow.
College wrestling is amazing, so it was still one of the greatest experiences of my life. And it wasn't college, it was just the wrestling aspect of it. So, I think I would be around coaching, but I got a degree in personal finance, and I would probably be doing something along those lines, but I wouldn't be able to see myself sitting at a desk. I'd be just get a little antsy. I just took a vacation to Europe, and a week and a half into it, I'm just like ready to get back to training and business calls and trying to figure out the future and figure out what's up. So I'm just that kind of guy, and I think I would be doing something with wrestling coaching, but not full time, and something with finance or something like that. But I'm very glad that I get to do what I do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously you're very good at it. I follow you on Instagram, and where were you? I forget where you were in Europe. Where were you just?
We went to London for the Bellator show.
That's right.
Then we went to Rome and Venice and Italy, and then we went to Santorini in Greece.
You and your wife.
Santorini and Athens in Greece.
This was just a vacation.
Just me and Brie. Yeah, that was our.
Your wife seems like she's a doctor or a nurse?
She's a physician assistant. So it's a lot more autonomy than a nurse. I mean, but it's not exactly a doctor. PAs, most of the time if you came into an ER right now and someone walked in with a white coat, you would most likely see a PA. The way that healthcare system is going right now, physician assistants have just as much autonomy as a doctor. They just have to have their stuff signed off on. So my wife sees people come in decapitated, broken arms, broken legs, crazy stuff, and she saves their lives with no quote unquote doctors around.
Okay.
They're there to fall on if need be, but I mean she is crazy. She's kind of a sick individual. She'll show me like a YouTube video and I'll almost puke.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff makes me a little queasy. But
this is the utmost compliment.
Oh boy.
I feel like she is not your typical fighter wife. She's very straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I'll freaking start crying right now. Yeah, chill out right now. No, but I mean, she's.
I'm giving her a compliment. She just seems like a very smart. I'm just looking at pictures here of you on your Instagram. It's just like I'm like, this is not your typical fighter wife. Yeah. What does she think of you doing this for a living?
Well, I mean, I think it does help that she sees literally nasty stuff coming through the ER, but she had never, the greatest thing about her is she was not an MMA fan, had never seen an MMA fight. Her and I first started talking, I had just fought Akihiro Gono, and I had sent her the video, and then her first fight ended up being, this is actually a pretty cool story, a pretty cool road. Actually not for her, but she came in and we get together, and she comes to my first fight against Dave Rickles, knock him out in 44 seconds, jump up in the cage, and I'm like, oh, great, and she's probably thinking, man, this is great, this is easy, he's awesome, this is going to be awesome. And then the next 688 days, we did not share a win together. The next 688 days.
That was during your losing streak.
That was my losing streak. So,
oh my gosh.
So I broke her in with a 44-second, win, and then she was just with me, and just, man, for 688 days through the Alvarez loss, and then the injury before the Brooks fight, lost that fight, and then lost again to him, and then changing camps and just moving all over the place. And now I'm going to leave her again for Florida. And she's just, I think, all you young fighters who are looking for a woman, don't necessarily find someone who just supports you, but find somebody who supports themselves and they're okay on their own. I think that's what works out so well for us, is that she gets excited when I go to training camp, so she can focus on what she loves to do. She can focus on going to the ER. She can focus on her fitness. She can focus on her diet. She can focus on all that kind of stuff, because when I'm around, all she wants to do is serve me. She's an amazing person, an amazing support system, and we have cried through the losses, and we have been ecstatic through the wins. And she's when you find your helpmate, your soulmate, it's a cool thing. So
during that 688 days, did you ever think about stop fighting?
No, I don't think I ever thought about stopping fighting. I think I still knew that there was a calling on my life to do great things in this sport. And man, I tell you, losing that first fight, you lose that confidence, and I think that's what happened. I never could have saw myself losing a fight. I was 12-0 with 10 finishes and 7 of them in the first round, just running through people and ranked top 3, top 5 in the world, and one of them was finishing Eddie Alvarez. So it was hard to see how I could possibly lose, and then all of a sudden you lose, and you let that seed of doubt get planted in your head, and that thing will just fester and it'll grow, and those roots will grow strong if you don't chop that sucker down, dig it up, and that's really what happened. And I think you lose a little bit of belief in yourself. You lose a little bit of belief in your abilities. You're questioning your training camp, or you're questioning this. But I never questioned whether or not I should be in this sport. But that second loss to Will Brooks, man, getting TKO'd or whatever, you think, shoot, did those wars with Eddie and the wars with this and the wars with that, has that finally caught up? Do I have a chin anymore? And I absolutely do have a chin. It was just one of those things. You get caught on the button and you dust yourself off and you cry like a baby and pull yourself back up and get back at it. So
I feel like those moments make you appreciate these moments now even more, right?
They do, and it's so hard to see, because at the end of the day, if something bad happens to you but something good comes of it, was it really a bad thing? That's life's question. And so many bad things have happened in your career, so many bad things have happened in our career, but and for a moment you can feel sorry for yourself, or from a moment you can listen to the quote unquote haters, and you can buy into all that stuff. Oh, Chandler wasn't as good as he thought he was, blah 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 blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. And I did buy into it, and then just continued self-education is so important, man, and visualization and that kind of stuff. I graduated college in 2009, stopped learning for a couple of years, and then now if I'm not reading a book or reading an article or joining this group or talking to this group or seeking wise counsel everywhere I possibly can, I'm really doing myself a disservice, because just because you're done with school, your traditional school, doesn't mean you can't continue to learn, and that learning breeds confidence, and that confidence breeds wins. And here I am, and I feel better at 30 years old than I ever have. So,
have you ever done motivational speaking? I feel like you'd be very good at that.
I've thought about it.
You have that sort of vibe to you. You get people very excited and.
No, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. It's just coming out for real, though.
You should consider it.
I guess. I am part of Zig. Have you heard of Zig Ziglar? I'm part of his.
Zig Ziglar.
Zig Ziglar was one of the greatest motivational, I think, guys of all time, and he's got so many books and so many audio tapes and that kind of stuff. So I spend a lot of time listening to him, a lot of time reading his book. I actually went to his Ziglar certified legacy course, and they have a essentials of public speaking and that kind of stuff. I think that's definitely something that's going to be in my future.
Yeah.
When I'm done fighting, I want to be able to say I did the best that I could with what I had, and I'm excited to kind of just level with people, because at the end of the day, it's cool that I'm a fighter and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just a human being who has gone through some ups and gone through some downs, and we're all just part of this one big human race, So it's an interesting. It's just cool to be put on a platform and be able to do this kind of stuff. So.
Well, next for you is November 19th, Ben Henderson title fight.
Yes, sir.
The Shark Tank, SAP Center.
Yep.
That main event?
Yes.
Okay.
Main event, and then Michael Venom Page versus Fernando
Gonzalez.
Yes, Fernando or Francisco?
I think it's Fernando.
Fernando Gonzalez. So
like the 8th time they booked that fight. He keeps getting injured.
That's right. Yeah. So it'll be good, man. Anytime you share the same card as MVP, that
yes. And obviously they're going to stack the deck. That's Coker's, backyard.
Yeah.
So you're here with Luke Rockhold. We're up against the clock.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to say goodbye to you.
Okay.
But it's been because I know Luke the way he is. He's probably stewing back there. He's like, I want to talk. Where's my love? Where's my airtime?
Motivational stuff.
Yeah. But man, it's so great to have you in studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Anytime, you are welcome here.
All right,
and congrats on all your success. And I can't wait for this fight. When you break it down like that, I forgot that you guys were champ at the same time.
Exact same time. So I've been studying to fight this guy right here.
I hope they use that as part of the
I know. I was studying to fight this guy for a long time. So I'm not going to sit here and say I know him like the back of my hand, but I pretty much know him like the back of my hand. And and I think back when he was champion in the UFC, he would have had a better chance of beating me, and now not so much. So I'm just excited to go out there, get a finish, and hopefully Josh is next, and then Rory and Pitbull, and we got some big fights coming up.
Mentioning Rory, by the way, it's very interesting.
Man. I'm just
mentioning this.
I saw him, let's sizing him up. I said, congrats on the signing. You deserve it, man. Everybody deserves a Bellator, red panty contract. I guess we're gonna start calling it a Bellator red panty contract.
That's right, a lifetime achievement award, so to speak.
Exactly.
But I'm very happy for you. Can't wait for that fight. Great stuff this weekend. You were all over the place, getting in there, the face-offs and all that. Yes, it was good. So thank you very much for coming in. And and keep up repping that the three stripes over there.
Three stripe.
Where can people get that stuff?
It is acsgear.com.
Okay.
And gear, apparel, all kinds of stuff. It's a great company. They've obviously Adidas has been around since the beginning of sports.
That is true. Yep.
So
Adi Dassler.
Adi Dassler.
That's the guy's name. Did you know that?
I didn't know
You need to look up a little more. Okay.
Son of a...
You can bring in Luke, guys. We're going to do this change on the fly like a hockey game.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
And you guys will swap it up.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mike. All the best to you and your family. Here comes Luke Rocco. There he is. Shut this place down.
Here we go.
We're doing it on the fly, Luke, so just jump.
Welcome to the team, Ariel.
Oh, what do I got here?
It's a great
Stay charged on the go.
Look at this. Luke Rockhold hooking me up with a, is this a portable battery, I believe?
Yes, thank you.
I could use one of those. Look at this. Mike, again, thank you very much. Safe travels. Enjoy New York City. Don't get in too much trouble. I'll tell your wife.
Yeah. No.
I know Luke over here can be a bad influence at times.